In the heart always Southern T. Back with another EP. And y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. We here with another boxing conversation. What's good, Hustlers Home? Appreciate you sliding through. Shout out my guy, damn it, man. What's good? Case of boy, TWT in the building. Shout out my brother D Free Sports Matchups and Dwayne Freeman, TWT in the building. What's good, brother MP? What the fuck? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. Glad you could make it, pimp. Glad you could make it. What's good, Tim Free? What's long time no see, Tim? Where the hell you been? Tim? Where the hell you been at, Tim? What's good? Appreciate you sliding through. Tim, you been hiding. Bro. Appreciate you sliding through this jump. Pimp, shout out my guy, Tim Hustlers Home. What's good, family? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. Glad you can make it, pimp. What's good, Damon, man? Shout out my guy, Damon, man. Case of what? Skywalker Boxing. What's good, Skywalker? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. TWT in the building. PGH Big Dog in here somewhere where you go. What's good, PGH? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. PGH Big Dog, what's good, pimp? Appreciate you sliding through. There you go. So yeah, I'm here to I'm here with a boxing conversation, right? This is just something that I was thinking about, right? We're here to address this narrative, right? That's what I've been doing, a lot lately, and I've been taking pride in doing this shit too, right? We finna address, and I've been taking pride in. We finna address this narrative, right? I'm noticing a pattern right now, right? And the pattern that I'm also noticing when I put Bud in my titles, they be black, they be ghosting my shit, like they don't be pushing that junk out, don't be having that junk up on the area, because I had to go search for my video. But it's this narrative that's going around, right? Or this idea, right? Let's call it an idea, right? It's this idea going around that Errol Spence should fight Jerome Boots Ennis, right? Because he can't get this Terrence Crawford fight. I didn't have multiple people, right? I didn't hear multiple people. I didn't even have people that come here in this chat, ask in this chat, right? Why don't Errol Spence, drop his belt, right? Why don't Errol Spence drop his belt and fight Yordenis Ugas, right? So let's entertain that for a second, right? Let's entertain that thought, right? So what's the question is, should Errol Spence drop his belt and go fight Jerome Boots Ennis? Should Errol Spence fight Jerome Boots Ennis, right? That's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing, a lot of people push Errol Spence in that direction, right? And the reason for them pushing Errol Spence in that direction, right, is because they say that, we want to see the best fights. Errol Spence wants the best fight. The people wants the best fight. This is the best fight. So why not Errol, go fight, Jerome Boots Ennis and drop his strap, right? So let's entertain that for a second. What's good, Just Do? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. If y'all could do your boy a favor, smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether here for a good time or a long time, you could smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. So let's entertain that for a second. So we want to see the best fights, right? We not go get Earl. We not go get Earl and Bud, right? So we thinking about what's going on in the future, right? So let's entertain it for a second. We want to see the biggest fight possible, right? So what people are telling me right now, the biggest fight is Jerome Boots Ennis and Errol Spence. So directly, indirectly, that's what everybody's telling me, the people that's asking for Earl to fight Boots. So let's address it. So directly, indirectly, Boots versus Earl is the biggest fight, right? So if that's the fight that we want to see, right? If that's the fight that we pushing now for all my, why don't Earl fight Boots people? If that's the fight that we're pushing now, right? So how about we really maximize that fight, right? Let's maximize that fight, because we're thinking of backup plans, right? We're thinking of plan Bs, right? We're thinking of things we should do, right, to maximize the situation now. That's what we're doing, right? So what people are coming up with is Earl fight Boots. So that's what people are coming up with. Earl fighting Boots. Okay. So how do we maximize? So how do we maximize that fight? K, that's not real, K. It's not a real thing, K. They trying to keep hope alive with that, K. That's not that thing that you heard. That thing that you heard had nothing to do with the situation in 2022. They had nothing to do with the situation in 2022. But I digress, y'all. Let's stay on task, y'all. Let's stay on task because I'm trying to get everybody to see, to see past, the bullshit, past the media tactics. You know what I'm saying? Past that. Like that was old. Like, hey, that was him having a conversation about something completely different. That wasn't even a 2022 conversation. You get what I'm saying, Kate? They go do that because they want to keep people thinking that fight is going to happen. That fight, that what Earl said, that was a conversation from the past. You get what I mean? But what I'm hearing now is I really like, man, it's crazy. Like I'm really like, and I hate that not everybody, really is paying attention or everybody really ain't hip to the media and how they move out here, right? Every time. Oh, the one he talking about Thurman. Oh, okay. I thought you was talking about the one where they were saying that he said that he'll fight, he go fight Bud in the future. Oh yeah, they jumped. Oh, no, I ain't heard the John about Thurman. I thought you was talking about that bootleg one when they was talking about him fighting Errol Spence. But y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy, right? So they're trying to keep hope alive. So the narrative, that's being pushed right now was that Earl should fight Boots, right? So let's say that I agree, right? The biggest fight right now is Earl versus Boots. That's the fight, that the people want, right? That's what I'm hearing being thrown around. So how do we truly maximize that fight? The way you truly maximize that fight, right, is not by having Errol Spence drop a belt. Why would Errol Spence drop a belt and then go fight Jerome Boots Ennis, right? Really? How you will maximize that fight is if, right, since we're going to get somebody to drop a belt, right, we want Errol Spence to fight Jerome Boots Ennis. Y'all smash that like button on the way in for your good brother. We want Errol Spence to fight 13 people in the building. I got 10 likes. Let's get the likes with the views. We got, people saying Errol Spence to drop his belt and fight Boots. Okay, so if we're going to drop a belt, right, if one person is going to drop a belt, if Boots and Earl is the fight, how do we make that fight the biggest possible, right? We make that fight for undisputed. Right? Earl Spence has 3 belts. Yeah, facts. I saw that, Dwight. We had been saying that, though. I had been saying that too, y'all. I had been saying that too. I said he's not fighting him. He's moving up. So stay with me, y'all. Stay with me, y'all. So the narrative is have Earl fight Boots. So how do we maximize that fight and make it the biggest, right? It's not by having Errol Spence, right? It's not by having Errol Spence drop his belts, right? If anybody was going to drop a belt in this situation, it should be Terrence Bud Crawford, right? Now, what I'm about to do now is I'm about to tell y'all, right? I'm about to break down to y'all how not only, right, the obvious fight, right, is Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence, right? That's the obvious fight that we want, right? That's the obvious fight, right, that Terrence Bud Crawford is holding up right now. But in the midst of this, Errol Spence should drop his belt and fight Jerome Boots Ennis. I had an epiphany, y'all. And my epiphany is you are absolutely right. Errol Spence should fight Jerome Boots Ennis. But Errol Spence, to give us the best fight, right, he should fight Jerome Boots Ennis for undisputed. So everybody, right, everybody's jumping off at the gun, jumping off the hinges, right? Oh, Earl should fight Boots and drop the belt. No. So let's slow it down. Stay with me for a second. Listen to me. Terrence Bud Crawford is fighting David Avanesian. David Avanesian is ranked behind Jerome Boots Ennis in the WBO. And in the IBF, he's ranked behind Jerome Boots Ennis. So he skipped Jerome Boots Ennis to fight David Avanesian. Right? So peep this. Instead of having Errol Spence drop his belt to fight Boots, how about, right, we have Bud Crawford drop his belt, his one belt. He fighting David Avanesian anyway. So how about Bud just drop his strap? Virgil is number 1 in the WBO. Jerome Boots Ennis is number 2 in the WBO. I want y'all to stay with me, right? So we got Jerome and Virgil number 1 and number 2 in the WBO. I had mentioned earlier the obvious fight that Bud, right? The obvious fight that Bud is holding up is Earl and Bud, right? But directly, indirectly, let's really think about it. If we want somebody to drop a strap right now, Bud Crawford is holding up Virgil Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis, which in effect, right, would give us Jerome Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz versus Errol Spence. You feel me? Now stay with me because I'm going somewhere with this. Earlier this year, Errol Spence had made a comment. Errol Spence had said, after I get the third strap, everybody's going to see who's holding up the division, right? Now, I want to give a shout out, to, the Bud posse and the Bud fans, and the Earl Spence, the Earl Spence, haters, the Earl Spence fake news makers, the Earl Spence narrative pushers. That's the word I'm looking for right there. The Errol Spence narrative pushers, right? So what Earl Spence said was, after I get the 3 straps, we're going to see who's holding up the division. Right? So Jerome Boots Ennis is ranked number 1 in the WBO. Virgil Ortiz is ranked number 2 in the WBO. Bud has the WBO strap. We're not going to get Errol Spence versus Bud, right? Earl got 3 of the belts. Bud has chosen to fight David Avanesian as a voluntary fight, right? That means he could have picked anybody that he wanted to fight. He literally could have fought anybody that he wanted to fight. You know what I mean? And he chose to fight David Avanesian. So I'm thinking, right, because we do want the biggest fights, right? We do want Earl Spence versus Bud. We do want Earl Spence versus Boots now, right? That's the fight that we want, right? That's the fight that everybody's pushing for. And I believe that's an even better fight, even bigger fight than Bud versus Errol, right? So that's the fight that we want now, right? So let's really think about it. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy, whether you're here for a good time or a long time, whether it's your first time. If you could not make it your last time, smash that like button when you roll on in. Greatly appreciate everybody sliding through this thing, right? So let's entertain the narrative, right? If Boots and Errol is the fight that we want, we maximize that fight by making Boots and Errol for undisputed. And by making Boots and Errol for undisputed, we would need Bud Crawford to drop his WBO belt instead of having Errol drop his belt to fight Boots. Let's have Bud drop his belt. That'll give us Virgil Ortiz versus Boots instantly. Those are the number 1 and number 2 ranked guys in the WBO. So we'll get 2 big fights. We'll get Virgil and Boots, and we'll get the winner of that fight fighting Errol Spence. Possibly, right, Virgil Ortiz versus Errol Spence for undisputed is an even bigger fight than Jerome Boots Ennis for Errol Spence versus undisputed. Let's really think about it. Errol Spence and Virgil Ortiz will have no problem coming together having that fight in Texas. That makes perfect sense. That may almost be the biggest fight at 147. The best fight at 147, what we're trying to make is Boots versus Errol. The biggest fight at 147 may be Virgil Ortiz versus Errol Spence in Texas, right? So my thing is, if we really and we truly trying to get Errol Spence versus Jerome Boots in this, right? What's the best way to maximize their bag? What's the best way to maximize their profit. It wouldn't be for Earl Spence to drop his belt. It wouldn't be for Earl Spence to drop his belt. It would actually be for Bud to drop his and let those guys throw down for undisputed. Let me drop this link real quick. So I gotta go drop these wings in the oven. But my thought is, y'all, like, what I'm getting at is, right? Well, no, I ain't got to. What I'm getting at is, if we really think about it, right? I get people, they want to push a narrative, but I'm sold with it. Let's get Boots versus Earl. But if you really think about what Earl Spence said, right? Let's really think about what Earl Spence said. He said, after I get this third strap, we'll see you holding up the division. So if Boots is number one, if Virgil is number two in the WBO, and Boots is number one in the WBO, Earl Spence got 3 straps, right? Earl Spence is waiting on the Terrence Crawford fight, right? Did he not go get? You had Jerome Boots Ennis about to fight David Avanesian, right? You got Virgil Ortiz, who's the WBO mandatory, waiting on his shot. And Terrence Crawford just decided to fight, David Avanesian. You know what I mean? So in hindsight, if Terrence Crawford drops his belt, we get Boots versus Virgil. And that'll lead us straight into Boots versus Errol Spence. So directly, indirectly, Bud Crawford, exactly like Earl Spence said, right? Earl Spence got 3 straps. And we can directly see Terrence Bud Crawford is holding up the division. You know what I mean? We can clearly see that. Hold on. So I'm just thinking to myself, not only are we getting the pride of Earl versus Bud versus, what's good, Tay? Appreciate you sliding through this thing, Tay. Glad you can make it. What's good, knockout boxing? Appreciate you sliding through. Nah, bro, we trying to get Earl versus Boots. Don't block nobody, y'all. Don't block nobody. Yo, Bo Mac Barbecue, we trying to get Errol Spence. We trying to get Errol Spence versus Boots. That's what we doing right now, right? And throw what y'all said y'all want. What way do we maximize the value on Boots versus Earl? True enough, let's really think about it. If we really want this fight, right? If we really and truly want this fight, how do we make this fight as big as possible? Right? Because what people telling me is Earl Spence should drop his belt, right? Forego his mandatory and go straight to Jerome Boots Ennis, right? Because he's all about making the biggest fights, right? So if we all about making the biggest fights, right? If that's what we all about making the biggest fights, right? Why would Earl drop a belt? Why would he hustle backwards, drop a belt, and then go fight Boots? If you really want somebody to drop a belt, why wouldn't it be Bud? Or do people just be spearing the narrative because you want to see Jerome Boots Ennis beat Errol Spence? And let's really think about this, right? Let's really think about this. What's good, Big Tex, Big Cletus? Let's really think about this for a second. The other reason, right, they said that Earl should drop his belt and fight Boots is because they truly don't want Errol Spence to move up, right? They truly just don't want Errol Spence to move up in division, because if Errol Spence move up, Bud is no longer able to use his name. Bud is no longer able to make money and make profit off of Errol Spence's name, because Errol Spence will no longer be at the 147-pound division. Effectively, he will have to stop saying his name and turn his attention elsewhere, right? So if, let's just say, the Errol Spence is to leave 154, this is the reason why they're pushing this Boots and Earl narrative on you. Earl should drop his belt and fight Boots, right? So let's say because they don't want Earl Spence to move up because Terrence Crawford can't profit off Earl. Let's say Earl moves up, right? Who's going to be left at the 147-pound division? He's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to sell y'all an Earl Spence fight. Well, I'm going to fight Earl Spence later. No, I'm going to fight him later. We're going to work it out because Earl Spence will be at 154. Effectively, Terrence Crawford will be in the 147-pound division with Virgil Ortiz, Jerome Booth Ennis, Keith Thurman, Virgil Ortiz, and Jerome Booth Ennis. That means if Earl Spence move up, Bud gonna either have to fight Boots. I got a question for y'all. Or Virgil. I got a question for y'all. Go check. I mean, not a question. I got the homework for y'all. Go check the WBO rankings. You will see Virgil Ortiz and you will see Jerome Booth Ennis. If Earl Spence leaves their division, it ain't gonna be no more, clout chasing Earl name. Then the conversation is going to switch to, well, Bud should fight Boots. So what they trying to do is kill two birds with one stone. They want Earl Spence and Boots to fight each other to soften each other up, right? They telling you Earl should drop his belt and dare to be great, right? They telling you they want Earl Spence to drop his belt, right? They want him to drop his belt so Bud Crawford could pick another belt up without having to work for it. That's the easiest route, which is exactly what Bud Crawford is all about. The easiest route. And they came straight from Bowman. But I digress. Right? So they pretend as if they want to see Jerome Booth in this fight, Earl Spence, right? They pretend as if, that's the fight that they want. But really what they want is they want Earl or Boots to knock each other out. What they want is they want to get the attention off of Terrence Bud Crawford. You get what I mean? They really want to get the attention off of Terrence Bud Crawford. They really don't want you to see the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture here is Bud is stuck in a situation to where he's either going to have to retire, right? Or he's going to have to finally fight somebody worth a damn. Because if Earl Spence goes up to 154, there's no more clout chasing Earl Spence's name. There's no more clout chasing name. That means you can't act like you want to fight Earl Spence. And then guess what? Which I won't be surprised. What's good, Mike Biggs? Appreciate you sliding through. I won't be surprised, right? What's good, Mike Biggs? I won't be surprised, right? Let's say Earl Spence move up to 154. I won't be surprised if Bud fight David Avenesian and then move up because that would justify him fighting a whole bunch of scrubs again, right? Because if he stay at 147, he ain't gonna have no choice but to fight Virgil Ortiz, which would be his mandatory, right? And if Earl Spence is moving up, that means those other belts will be coming free, which means Jerome Booth Ennis gonna be getting one of those straps. Anyway, you know what I mean? So him sticking around at 147, eventually he gonna have to run into somebody. You get what I'm saying? And they know that it's probably going to be Boots. So what most people want to do is they want to knock that out. They want to scratch that off before he get to Bud. They would tell you, we want to make the biggest fights. Right? So Earl should fight Boots. But truthfully, what they saying is we want Earl to stay at 147 and fight Boots because if he leave, then I'm going to have to fight Boots. And if you really look at the situation, right? If you really look at the situation, Bud Crawford is the WBO champion. Right? Again, Virgil Ortiz is 2, Boots is 1. Stanonis is number 1 in WBA. Stanonis took step-aside money for Earl Spence versus Ugas. He was about to take step-aside money for Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence, but it never happened. So now he pushing forward with his mandatory, right? Jerome Booth Ennis has been in position to be the mandatory for the IBF for the longest, right? That's why the story, bro, everybody was saying, oh, he about to push his mandatory. Yeah, now he about to petition for it, right? Because he also was waiting on Terrence Bud Crawford and Earl Spence to sign their fight, so he could be on the undercard. So he was waiting too. So you had Stanonis waiting, you had Jerome Boots Ennis waiting, right? Virgil Ortiz is your mandatory for the WBO, right? He not your mandatory yet, but he's the next in line dude up for the mandatory. Right now, he's not beating down your throat because you got a volunteer right now because you just satisfied your mandatory and Sean Porter. So you got a voluntary after your mandatory. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy. When you roll on in, I got 18 people in the building. I got 15 likes. Y'all do your boy a favor. Jab that thumbs up. Whether you're going to be here for a good time or a long time. I ain't going to hold up too much of y'all time. I'm just having a boxing conversation real quick. I'm thinking to myself, in my bag right now. You know what I mean? So he just petitioned, you know what I mean? Sonona's just petitioned, just push his WBA mandatory because we're not getting Earl and Bud. Jerome Boots Ennis just petitioned for his IBF mandatory because we're not getting Earl and Bud. You got Virgil Ortiz, who's next in line for your mandatory, which you could have satisfied, but you chose to fight David Avanesian, who was Jerome Boots Ennis's up-and-coming opponent. You get what I'm saying? So I said all that to say you had Money Stanonis waiting on you. You had Errol Spence waiting on you. You had Jerome Boots Ennis waiting on you. And guess who else you had waiting on you? Keith Thurman. PBC offered Keith Thurman a fight earlier this year. Keith Thurman said, nah, I'm going to wait for a fight later in the year because Keith Thurman is waiting out to see if he's going to fight Errol Spence if you don't. Now, Errol Spence said he would much rather drop his belt than fight Keith Thurman. You get what I'm saying? But even Keith Thurman was waiting to see if he could get this fight with Errol Spence waiting on you. Now let's pay attention to the four names that I just named. Errol Spence, Jerome Boots Ennis, David Avanesian, Keith Thurman, Jerome Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. Those are all the top guys at the 147-pound division. All the top guys at the 147-pound division, literally. All the guys at the 147-pound division, literally, waited about a half a year. They just waited about a half a year to see what the hell Bud Crawford was going to do. To see if they was going to get undisputed in their division at 147. Literally just waited about a half a year on Bud Crawford. And Bud Crawford ended up fighting David Avanesian. Let that shit sink in for a second. Let that sink in for a second. Earl Spence said earlier this year, after I get these 3 straps, we go see you holding up the division. You know what I mean? Not only is Bud Crawford holding up Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford. And just so y'all know, like that fight is good as dead. That fight is good as done. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the they may fight. It may still be that fight. That fight's as good as done. You know what I mean? Anybody still pushing that fight? Anybody still pushing that fight or the belief of that fight? Either just trying to find some content. They either work for Bud or they just plain just don't like Earl Spence. You know what I mean? The reason I had this EP today is because it's time to move on with the conversation. And what people want to fake move on with right now is, Earl should fight Boots. Earl should fight Boots. That's what people want to fake move along with. Now, realistically, Earl can't fight Boots. Money Stanonis is up next in line to fight Earl Spence because he took step aside money for Earl Spence to fight Ugas. He was about to do the same for Earl Spence to fight Bud. So what's being pushed now is Earl should fight Boots, right? But Money Stanonis is next in line. So what was next after that was, right? Errol Spence should drop his belt and not fight Stanonis because we know he's going to be Stanonis, and he should fight Boots, right? It's retarded, for him to drop his belt. That'll be hustling backwards. But you know what? He should fight Boots. So let's talk about that for a second. Boots is the biggest fight for Errol Spence now that Bud ducked him, right? So let's really think about it. Yes, right? I don't think Boots is the biggest fight for him. I think Boots is the best fight for him. I think the biggest fight for him is actually Virgil Ortiz, right? The best fight, I think, will be the best fight between the two best fighters in the division will be Jerome Boots Ennis and Errol Spence. That'll be the best fight, right? I think the biggest fight in the division is Virgil Ortiz and Errol Spence in Texas at Dallas Stadium. I think that's the biggest fight for him. You know what I mean? And what's the biggest way to maximize on both of those fights if we not go get Bud versus Errol? Right? It will either be for Bud to fight Virgil Ortiz, who is his mandatory, fight Virgil Ortiz, but he fighting David Amnesia. But it will the best thing for him to do will be to fight Virgil Ortiz, right? Either beat Virgil or, lose to Virgil, or let go of the belt and let those guys get undisputed. Let those guys fight for undisputed. We could have, right, either Virgil Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis in the winner get Errol Spence, or which more than likely what would happen, right? If Terrence Crawford vacate his belt, Virgil Ortiz, who is number 2 in WBO, and Jerome Boots Ennis, who number 1 in WBO, or vice versa. They both are 2 top-ranked fights, in the WBO. More than likely, a fight between those two would be sanctioned. Most definitely a fight between Virgil Ortiz, and you put Virgil Ortiz and Earl in Texas, that's huge for undisputed. You know what I mean? That's huge for undisputed. It's going to be a rock'em sock'em robot fight. You know what I'm saying? Right? So they either go call Virgil Ortiz and Boots, because those are 2 top guys in the division. Right? Or they'll call Errol Spence versus Virgil Ortiz, or something of that matter. You know what I mean? And we could get undisputed in the welterweight division. I don't see why, Errol Spence should be summoned to drop his belt. And he's the one that wants to fight, right? It would actually make the most sense. It makes the most sense, right? If anybody, was going to drop a belt, it'd be Bud Crawford. That's what I'm saying. Now, Mob Air, he going to 154, right? He going to 154. He about to move on from the division. But I'm talking to the people who saying he should stay at 147 and fight Jerome Boots Ennis. Those are the people that I'm talking to right now. You know what I mean? More than likely, he going to 154. The PBC want him to stay at 147 to fight Keith Thurman, but he said he's not fighting Keith Thurman. He's been saying that for a minute. He said he'll rather move up and he'll rather drop the belt before he fight Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? Which is what I had been saying for a minute. You know what I mean? Because he been pretty much saying the same thing for a minute. Just like he been saying if he come fight Bud Crawford, that he was moving up in the division. Right? So he ain't really not did nothing that he said that he was going to do. You know what I'm saying? To this point. I'm entertaining the narrative right now, right? That Earl should fight Jerome Boots Ennis. I'm entertaining that narrative that Earl should fight Jerome Boots Ennis. You know what I mean? But the only way that he would be able to fight Jerome Boots Ennis is if he drop his strap. Because among Stanonis is next. So if he stayed at 47, he would have to fight Stanonis next. But people seem, want him to fight Jerome Boots Ennis so bad. So I'm thinking, right? So let's say that's the fight, that he should do, that he should fight Jerome Boots Ennis. What's the best way to maximize that fight with him and Jerome Boots Ennis? It wouldn't be for Earl to drop a belt, right? Now, in the perfect world, Terrence Crawford to just fight Errol Spence for undisputed. All the belts would go free, and then they can have it out. Or in the perfect world, Terrence Crawford or retire. You get what I'm saying? and he'll let Virgil Ortiz and Jerome Boots Ennis have it out. You get what I'm saying? And then they could go for undisputed. We can get Virgil versus Boots, and then we can get the winner face off against Earl Spence. You know what I'm saying? In the perfect world, Bud would just fight Earl, and everybody could go about their business. The second best thing is Earl versus would be Big Texas and sell out Cowboys. That yeah, facts, Mr. Aggressor. It most definitely would. You know what I mean? Which is what I'm saying. Like this fight between Earl and Bud. The reason what they trying to get Bud to understand is, Bud, you're not really a draw like that. This fight is big because of Earl Spence. This isn't even the biggest fight in the division. This fight is big because it's for undisputed. It turns Bud Crawford didn't have that WBO belt, right? He wouldn't even be important in the division right now. Earl can make more money with Virgil Ortiz in Texas. The better fight is actually Boots versus Errol Spence. You get what I'm saying? Bud is literally, and I hate to say this, right? Bud is literally in the way right now. Bud just signed to BLAK Prime. At this point, he just signed to BLAK Prime and he fighting David Avenesian. At this point, right, I'd rather him just fight David Avenesian, but let go of the strap and let them welterweight, you know what I'm saying, unify that division. Let those guys get undisputed. Stop holding, because essentially if Bud let go of the belt right now, if he fight Earl right, we'll get undisputed. And these two young guys will get their title shots. Anyway, they'll get different titles, right? But if Bud wants to drop his belts right now, the first fight that will be ordered will be Virgil Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis. So because Bud want to fight David Avenesian and he don't want to fight Earl Spence, right? Jerome Boots Ennis got to fight a tune-up fight now. Keith Thurman got to fight a tune-up fight. Earl Spence got to decide if he's moving up or not. And who knows who Virgil Ortiz gonna fight, right? My thing is, instead of us getting, you know what I mean, the best fighting the best, right? Literally, not just Earl and Bud. Instead of us getting the best fighting the best, right? Earl and Bud, right, will be the best fighting the best. Virgil Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis will be the best fighting the best, right? Because Bud could fight Earl Spence and it'd be for undisputed. Or Bud could fight Virgil Ortiz and that'll give us an exciting fight. Or, right, Bud could retire. And the first fight that'll be college, Virgil Ortiz and Boots. But instead, what Bud doing? What Bud doing instead, y'all? Fighting goddamn David Avenesian. You know what I'm saying? Now, Earl Spence literally said, after I get this third strap, we gonna see who really holding up the division. Right? What's happening right now, fellas? Fred Jermaine that 17 Earl should just go up and weigh, man. He has to go too much to defend his belt because of Buzz bullshit. Just go. Yeah, Freddie. Exactly. I'm just right now on this stream, Freddie. I'm just entertaining, right? I'm entertaining, you know, the Bud fans. I'm entertaining the Earl Spence detractors, right? The Earl Spence narrative pushers. I'm entertaining them with this Boots versus Earl Spence, right? I want you to hear me out for a second, Freddie. Right? Hear me out for a second, Freddie, right? They telling us, since Earl can't get Bud, right? And Earl want to make the biggest fights, he don't like tune-ups, right? He shouldn't fight Stanonis. He should drop his belt and go fight Jerome Boots Ennis. Know what they telling me? Since Earl like fighting the best, since Earl don't like tune-ups, he should go fight the best in Jerome Boots Ennis. He shouldn't fight Stanonis because he'll tune up. So I agree, right? Earl and Boots should fight. But for the same reason, right? Earl do like fighting the best. He don't like fighting tune-ups, right? So why? Okay, so instead of Errol Spence dropping his belt, right? Why don't Bud drop his belt? Because he had the chance to fight Jerome Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz, but he chose David Avanesian, who's ranked after them in every sanctioning body. So he chose Avanesian when he could have fought them, right? So if Bud is to drop his belt, that would get us two big fights. We understand Bud Crawford is holding up the biggest fight, Earl versus Bud, right? Directly, indirectly, he's also holding up Boots versus Virgil Ortiz, because if Bud is to retire or drop his belt, the first fight to be made is Boots versus Virgil Ortiz. We'll get that fight. And then shortly after that, right, the next fight to be made will be the winner of Boots versus Ortiz versus Errol Spence Jr. for Undisputed. You know what I mean? So for all my Errol Spence should fight. So for all my Errol Spence should fight Boots people, right? The first thing is a bunch of Stanonis is next in line, not Jerome Boots Ennis. And then they'll tell me, well, Earl don't like tune-up, so he shouldn't fight a tune-up. Cool. He should fight Boots. But he should fight Boots for Undisputed. Again, I'm going to say this again. Bud Crawford is only relevant because of Errol Spence and because he has that last belt. Anybody who had that last belt will be relevant right now in this situation. It just happened to be Bud Crawford. But hear me out. We had Emmanuel Stanonis, right, who been the mandatory for Errol Spence, right? He was cool on chill mode. He was going to take step aside money for Undisputed, right? We had Jerome Boots Ennis, who number one in the IBF. He hadn't even petitioned yet because he was cool with it. He was going to sit and wait for the Undisputed fight. We had Keith Thurman, who ain't fought nobody since Barrios, who said, I'm going to wait to fight later in the year. He holding out to see if he go get that Errol Spence fight. Effectively, he trying to see is Undisputed go happen or is he go fight Errol Spence, right? You got Virgil Ortiz, who's the WBO mandatory, right? Bud just, defended his mandatory against Sean Porter. And after he beat Sean Porter, the mandatory became Virgil Ortiz. You got him sitting there waiting because he trying to see what's going to happen with Undisputed in this division, right? So I just named the top welterweights in the division. Bud, Earl, Virgil, Boots, Keith Thurman. What was all them just doing? He said, yeah, T, but they also talking about Thurman now. You know, Spence don't. Yeah. Thurman not going to fight you. He moving up. He moving up, bro. He going to move up. So what do all those welterweights have in common? And PBC been trying to get Earl to fight Keith, but he don't want to fight Keith. They've been trying to do that for the longest. All those guys have in common is they just waited. Now you see Stanonis pushing his mandatory. Now you see Boots petitioning his mandatory. That's because they were sitting and waiting on Bud to see what Bud was going to do with Errol Spence. Bud literally had the whole 147-pound division waiting on him to fight David Avanesian. I'm going to say that again. Bud literally had the whole 147-pound division sitting, waiting, and watching, thinking he was about to fight Errol Spence to fight David Avanesian. Errol Spence said, after I get this third strap, we go see you holding up the division. If Bud Crawford go ahead and fight Earl, we'll have Undisputed. If Bud Crawford would have honored his mandatory, which would be Virgil Ortiz, we'll have a better fight than Bud versus David Avanesian. If Bud had to fight Errol Spence instead of David Avanesian, he said, that's right. He said, yeah, in fact, if Bud had to fight Errol Spence instead of David Avanesian, Emmanuel Stanonis will be fighting Bud Amanda Stanonis. Amanda Stanonis will be fighting Keith Thurman on the undercard of Bud versus Earl Spence. Boots will be fighting Albanese on the undercard of Bud versus Earl Spence. And again, I'm gonna say this again. Bud can fight Earl Spence for undisputed, which he's not gonna do, which not gonna happen. B, he could fight his mandatory instead of David Albanese, Virgil Ortiz. Give us a better fight. Jerome Boots Ennis will either be fighting for an IBF belt if Earl leaves, or Jerome Boots Ennis will be next up in line for the WBO mandatory because he's number 2 in the WBO. So, Bud effectively is stopping Bud versus Virgil Ortiz. He effectively stopping Errol Spence versus Boots, and he effectively stopping either Boots versus Virgil or Earl versus Virgil or Boots when you really think about it. And I want y'all to think about that and sit on that for a second. It's getting the Hardaway Sudden T. Really appreciate everybody sliding through. Y'all do both favor, y'all smash that like button. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.